There have been many years since the release of Fire Emblem and the 3 Discourses, but it was such a good and beloved game by everyone, they are now releasing Fire Emblem and the 4 Discourses. I myself actually was never able to finish Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Excuse me, 3 Discourses. I always got kinda somewhere and then I got bored with the game because, well, it doesn't feel like a Fire Emblem game, and that will become very obvious throughout the video. And also there are some aspects of this game that I just absolutely hate and that are also in other games. So either way, if you like Fire Emblem content, you should subscribe. And it's now time for me to finally finish this game and see what all the fuss is about. Maybe this game will get better. We start the game with a cutscene about a battle between a warrior of class and a homeless man with a whip. Of course, just like it goes in society, the woman assaults the homeless man and no one bats an eye. We then meet the tired child who is sitting on a throne and asks us a bunch of questions. Like, what's our birthday and if we are human or not. You know, just questions you ask on your first meeting. We then meet Gerald, who is our dad and will obviously and definitely be the only parent in Fire Emblem history to stay alive. We then come across our 3 starter Pokemon that are conveniently color coded and all have a different weapon type. Of course it's the Lance, Axe and Sword. What? Cloud has a bow? What kind of bullshit? Either way, they hire us to help them with murdering some bandits. And that's exactly what we do. In this first map we are able to use every new Pokemon to our liking and test out the different type advantages of each one of them. What do you mean? There is no weapon triangle? That's impossible! What kind of imbecile would make a Fire Emblem game without a weapon triangle? It's like taking away the Pokemon typings in Pokemon and just basing yourself on how strong each Pokemon is. So yeah, that's already the one part of this game where I get really confused, cause what do you mean a spear and a sword just do equal damage against each other? Huh? What do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. Oh well, at least the prologue didn't take too long to beat. We then get one of the many dialogue options in this game that just don't matter, cause this one just gives us flavor text from the different houses talking about how flattered they are that this rando is complimenting them. Oh yeah, we also made sure to save Edelgard in this game because otherwise the game would have been cut short. And you never guess what happens. It's not a Fire Emblem game. It's a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game. Yeah, now it all makes sense. No weapon triangle, of course. We got Zawardo. Or Star Platinum, that one is also an option. With that newfound power on our side, nothing can go wrong. After all that stuff, the Knights of Saros invite us over to a very prolonged tea party where teaching will become our hobby and running around the monastery will be our full-time fucking job. This is where everything of the main game happens. The hub world, one could say. We then get a very long exposition with a lot of text introducing every single starter Pokemon and their companions. I could introduce them, but like, if you know anything about Fire Emblem 3 Discourses, you know who they are. Crazy, Crazy, Crazy and Cloud. I then can speak to them all and decide which house I will be picking, by pure coin flipping of course, and I picked the Blue Lions route. I have no clue what it will entail, but I'm sure it's gonna be hype, right? We then get a bunch of free time to go around and do a bunch of side quests and whatever else could happen, you know. I honestly don't care about this part, also because a part of this is mandatory. Just know I spent 20 minutes just running around. I could have prepared my newfound units or something, but no. For chapter 1 we have to participate in a small battle between the houses and it goes as expected. Picking a water type was honestly the right choice. Oh yeah, that typing doesn't matter. We kinda finish it easily and get our next task from Rhea. We have to kill some bandits. This is a perfect opportunity to get rid of all the students I don't like. But it's also a really good way to just, you know, level up some of my characters. Yeah, no evil intentions at all. For chapter 2 I spent another 20 minutes teaching my students some new stuff and running around in a way too grand church school building. After all that we get prompted to do a skirmish map where, well, dying is optional and leveling up your unit is kind of a must. Certainly I won't let anyone die in this playthrough of Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Either way, after that skirmish map, practice map or whatever, it's time for the real deal. Yes, that's right, it's time for the these students to know how to kill in the name of the church. In this map we fight against a bunch of bandits, again, on a map that can only be described as, wow, this is a big map for a first actual map. So as expected we move through this map very slowly and meticulously, because that's honestly all we can do. Oh, and maybe I should have also mentioned I changed Felix's class, because he was the strongest unit for now, and I got a bond conversation with Ash the archer, because I guess bond conversations are useful, I don't know. But I also forgot to mention that because I didn't actually deem it as that useful. Just know that I did a bunch of bond conversations throughout the game, and you know, you'll probably not see all of them. After a good 7 turns we made it to the middle of the map. Wow, incredible! Though I must say that I am one of those people who play really slowly, and you know, I really slowly crawl through the map and move all my units to get the most amount of EXP. Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm gonna scuff my way through this game, okay? I will beat this game just the way I want it. Just, you know, maybe I'll kill everybody. I don't care, man. I'll beat this game. And I definitely won't be very efficient with it. So, you're warned. I make my way to the map's boss and notice that he doesn't move, even though it's not a siege map. So I decide to do a bunch of mindless grinding with Mercedes. No, not the car. I decide to hit the boss for a 3 HP with the bow to gain a tiny bit of EXP, and I keep doing that for like 60 turns, until Mercedes goes up by the amazing, the great 2 levels. Yep. Sadly enough, the game ends the map after 99 turns. Something that should be illegal to put into Fire Emblem games. How else am I supposed to XP grind, man? After we beat the boss, Sotis and Byleth talk about how they seem to remember this place even though it is their first time being here. When we return to the monastery, we get another mission from Mom. From Lady Rhea, where we have to kill Ash's adoptive father cause he is rebelling against the church. There must be a reason for that, but I guess we will never know as we completely forget about our objective to spend our time at the monastery. Again, hooray! I then decide to spend an hour on doing 2 skirmish maps to level up some of my units even more and to class up some of them as well to make them even stronger. While I do not like the way this game handles level ups for weapons and characters, I'm glad we're still able to do skirmish maps, even though most of the time I don't really use them all that much. I really think they might be mandatory though for this playthrough to keep your levels high enough. Another thing I noticed in these skirmish maps is that we are battling on maps we have yet to get to in the story, and I honestly think that's a little strange, considering it's part of the gameplay to get hit with maps you have never seen before. But alas! Also, it's really funny to me how little we use of those really gigantic maps for those skirmishes. Like, I know those are gonna be big places in the story, but we just using like a tiny little bit for it, and it's so strange. Luckily enough, I'm able to level up my units quite a bit. After all that grinding and walking around, we finally get to the story map where we have to kill Ash's adoptive father. Before we kill him, we first meet up with Catherine, who has a divine weapon at her side and is able to deal a lot of damage to her enemies, but she's also able to steal our fucking experience. Come on, man! This map starts out as a fog of war, where we can't see our enemies, but the enemies can see us and will approach us with the intent to kill us. Technically, we can make Catherine do all the work, but hey, I ain't no pussy. After a certain time in the map, we get a cutscene of Catherine slicing some soldiers. Why they spend animation budget on her, my guess is just as good as yours. As long as they don't forget to animate some emotional, impactful scenes, all is well, I suppose. We do finish off the map really easily because of Catherine and get rewarded with even more free time in the monastery. Hooray! Our next mission is to act as security while something big is happening so that there won't be any problems to the festivities that have been planned that day, meaning we won't be attending those festivities at all. This is followed up by me once again spending an hour on the monastery, part of which where I do some skirmish maps and where I upgrade my units to another class. This is great. I'm not really loving this aspect of the game, but oh well. I know a lot of other people do, so I think it's okay, I guess. Yeah. Great. In this chapter we are in a crypt where we are supposed to kill the leader that's waiting at us at the end of this. And it's of course way too big and way too convoluted. What's with this game? Either way, the only concern I have in this map is the Death Knight, although he doesn't actually move. Let's just forget that he is on a horse anyway, you know? He can't move. I move my units via the left to defeat the boss that way. This actually works out really nicely as I had just promoted Mercedes and Ingrid to much more useful units, and they kept on actually killing everyone to the point that Mercedes was an even stronger unit than my Byleth or Dimitri, and they're the main characters. I gotta love that, man. At the end of this chapter map, Byleth gets a sword of the creator in his hands and kills off the boss with that, just because, you know, he needed a test dummy for it. After that, Rhea personally murders the rest of the people who oppose the church. She's not doing that for justice, you know. Like a true lizard lady, she does it for the love of the game. The cutscene afterwards shows a menacing figure, conveniently color-coded in red, as if they are related to another red color-coded character in this game. But I can't really put my finger on it. You know what? Guess what I do for the next hour? Yes, how could you guess? Just the same old shit! Next up, I promote Dimitri into a horse knight because I think he could use the extra movement to kill the other enemies. We then start the most convoluted map until this point. This map is basically a tower where you just go around constantly killing the enemies until you reach the boss to kill them. We also get Gilbert as a green unit, but considering I took my sweet time, he gets absolutely hammered and dies. The boss also goes down very easily until, well, he doesn't and becomes a monster and is ready to kill us off. Of course, he also gets a cutscene because it's also important to the plot. I for one had to use the power of Zebardo in order to keep my units alive, because I certainly want to maintain a clean playthrough. Once the monster is defeated, Sophie starts asking questions that we cannot answer since we are stupid and dumb and stupid. Our next mission is to find Flane, who has presumably been kidnapped, but hey, why not first spend a good hour, or in the game a good month, doing other things before we do that too, you know? I do recruit Shamir and a kid whose name I totally forgot, but surely he will be very useful in the future as a sacrifice. I meant to say as a really good and reliable unit. Instead of a skirmish map, I decide to go through a paralogue, made possible by the duo, who is Prince Dimitri's right hand man. I do mess up in this paralogue though, because I forgot to read the loose conditions, but I quickly gain my footing back and beat the map easily. The paralogue ends with a small little cutscene, and honestly I don't care enough. We then proceed to the next map, which requires us to either beat every enemy on the map in 25 turns or beat the boss in 25 turns. One of them sounds harder than the other, and I'm honestly not sure which one. So I start with the tedious process of killing every single enemy on my path. There are two paths to take. The one on the right teleports you into a small corridor where you can beat up only a few enemies, and the left path, which has the most enemies and does have doors that must be opened in some way or another. Luckily, the path on the right has a teleport point that teleports them to the left side of the map, making this a great way to regroup your characters. When it comes to the final three enemies, I just take them out with my newly recruited Shamir, whose strong suit is bows, and yeah, she really makes this easy. In the next chapter we are supposed to have another mock battle that is conveniently called something something eagle and lion something something, leaving Cloud hanging, as he will always be a third wheel in the relationship between Dimitri and Edelgard. On this map our units cannot die, but we also cannot use our newly recruited good characters. I should also tell you that the Sword of the Creator only has 20 uses before it breaks. I guess these divine weapons are more fragile than my ego. I go to the center platform to maintain a central position in the map, and that gives me the ability to actually take on the two other houses at the same time. Flane also joins us, and she's a healer, but I have Mercedes, so like I don't need her. But I am not letting her die, you know, because she's probably important to the plot. We then get some new info on our next mission, which is in the village we apparently know of. There is supposedly an illness that makes the people attack each other. That really seems urgent, but we will probably spend the rest of the month doing everything but saving the villagers. Of course, I'll waste 45 minutes of my life on once again grinding on this game just to get a little bit stronger with my units. One of the maps was even in a fucking desert, which makes your units move even slower. How fun! The other skirmish map made us beat 4 monstrous birds, and in my honest opinion that was a good one to get my units up in level. You know, a skirmish map doesn't have to be much more. I have been spending hours on this game and more than half of it is wasted on just leveling up my characters and teaching. This is pretty boring. It's just not for me. I really like my games to be straight to the point without a lot of fluff. And in this game there is a lot of fluff. Of course, this is not the only game that has those problems. I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy 16. You also got a lot of fluff. In this story map we get yet another green unit on our side, and this time it's our dad. Surely this is a sign that he will live till the end, if he is still alive at this point in the game, you know? We have to try and save as many villages as we can in order to get some rewards that are completely useless. But I try my best anyway and make my way to the boss, who is the beloved librarian Thomas, who proceeds to grow a giant forehead just so his friends can play some mini games on his head. We then come across the Flame Emperor, who tells us that they have nothing to do with the crazy people in the village, which sure are trustworthy words. Of course, since they are the main villain of the game, they teleport away, like the Black Knight in Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Our next mission is to seek out whoever is sneaking around in the unused chapel and kill them. This is surely another fun little map where nothing bad can happen. But first, you know the drill, right? And so do I. Yeah, it's time for some more skirmish maps and whatnot to gain even more experience and get to the point of the game of no return to make our units absolute units that have absolute power that can easily overpower any enemy that comes in their way. Yeah, exactly. The next map has us kill a bunch of monsters that turn out to be students in the academy. But because I created absolute units, we kill them off instead of just not hitting their vitals so we don't lose some students. We do help some other students as well that were being chased down by these monstrous things. And of course we get some very useless rewards for it. Of course, just like in every Fire Emblem game, our dad dies. And well, we try to use Zabardo to save him, but we get ultimately stopped by a plotted device called Evil Man with grey hair. And now we're sad for the rest of the month, which I think is a nice touch. In the next chapter we eavesdrop on our enemy, because we certainly are really silent as a character and we don't make a sound. We then find Edelgard's dagger, but that can only be coincidence, as Edelgard is clearly not an evil person in the red clothing, and the Flame Emperor is an evil person in red clothing. We then proceed to do exactly as we always do, some teaching and some skirmish maps without killing anyone in our ranks. We then have some more support conversations, and I honestly don't care that much about them, as they will all meet their demise. I mean, they will all feel the love of my teaching through and through, and I did watch every single support conversation because, well, the characters are fun. After all that grinding, it is time to finally kill our father's murderer. This map is honestly quite small in comparison with the other maps, but there is also this one thing called a huge ass forest in the middle of the map. This can be perfectly used to dodge tank every single enemy, but that also means every single enemy can dodge tank us. So it's a 50-50, I guess. I kill off every single enemy and make my way to the boss, and it's obvious that there will be a second part of this map if you look at it closely. After we beat the boss, we enter a cutscene where Byleth gets trapped into the darkness, so basically dead. And then we fuse with Sophis so we can break out of it, and then Sophis disappears because they didn't want her to be another Navi. But like, let's be honest, we don't mind Sophis talking to us, as she really is just a funny person, and she is Byleth's only friend. Of course, the one who trapped us in the void was Forehead Man. He then becomes the second boss of this map, so obviously we beat the crap out of him. And Byleth has evolved, and he has been powered up into a much better unit. We fall asleep because that fusion really tired us out, and then we wake up with our head on mommy. I mean, Lady Rhea's lap. This is to make all the mommy lovers happy and gives them hope that she is a marriable character, but as she seems like a mother figure in this game, she will sure be 6 feet under, just like Gerald, or Dad, who we so dearly miss and definitely haven't forgotten yet. Setef then confronts Rhea about her illegal child experiments, but since it's Lady Rhea, she gets off scot-free. Our next mission will be in the Holy Tomb, where Byleth will get his revelation from the goddess called Sophis. This is gonna be real awkward, as you sure are aware that Sophie's just disappeared and fused with us. This time I only spent 30 minutes on teaching the students some cool things with the sword, and I of course do some more skirmish maps. We then get ambushed in the Holy Tomb by a bunch of maniacs and they focus on robbing the graves. So can you guess what the punishment is for grave robbing? That's right, it's getting killed by my massive rod. I mean the sword of the creator, of course. What else were you thinking? After beating the boss we finally see who the Flame Emperor was. And what? It's Edelgard? I could have never seen that coming. It's so strange that all Dimitri can do is laugh. In the next picture that makes me reminisce of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, we see Edelgard giving a speech to her army to rally them up to kill and conquer the church. But it is said in such a normal voice that I kind of zone out during the whole thing. In short, all I have to say is that we are absolutely fucked, but Setef now joins our party, so hey, he might give us the strength we need. I only spend a little bit of my time preparing to confront Edelgard in a battle and then get into a really big map. We are supposed to defend the monastery with Lady Rhea as our last stance. Surely she will be helping us. No, she does not. She just stands there and that's it. A few of the objectives of this map are to take control of the left and the right side of the map to stop reinforcement from coming in, and that's exactly what I do with my best units. And I just sent Byleth through the middle road to meet up with Edelgard. While I am explaining this shortly, this map took me a beautiful 30 minutes and I must say that this is finally a really good map. It has a lot of potential for some really cool gimmicky traps and setups, but that's not needed since my Byleth is just so strong that I just one-shot Edelgard with a critical hit. She tells us that it's no time for her to die yet and that she was only a warm-up for the main event. She says that because 1, we are only at the first half of the game, and 2, a bigger army is coming. That main event we see in a cutscene where Rhea transforms into a dragon and misses all of her shots and gets humbled by the monsters that I suppose Edelgard had created. We go and help her but get hit by a dark ball. I guess our resistance was just a little bit too low, because we instantly get sent into the abyss of death. And then 5 years pass because, you know, we are a godly being and we can just do that. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. We then meet up with Dimitri, who has definitely grown quite a bit and still doesn't know how to use a comb. Cause his first hairstyle wasn't all that, let's be honest. He's filled with rage and works it out on some bandits that are infesting the remains of the monastery. This chapter is pretty easy and is a great way for you to meet up with your older students and see how they have grown up. As they are no children anymore, they surely can take care of themselves in battle. Oh. Who are you again? It doesn't matter, I ain't turning back time for someone I don't really remember. You're an adult now, it's all up to you now. We then meet up with Setef and Flane, who have not changed in the past 5 years. What's their secret? No clue. I then spent another 40 minutes doing everything but the story. Yes, like always I do some skirmish maps and teach my somewhat older students now under the term of training, because teaching adults was too cringe for the riders. The next map is a defend map where we have to defend the monastery from the Imperials, no matter what. And they really took the no matter what literally, because unbeknownst to me, we were setting the whole village on fire to kill every single enemy. At this point the map also becomes becomes a defeat the leader map because the game sees those burning enemies as dead meat. Not really well cooked though, but hey, you know, they're still alive and kicking. Felix gets absolutely walloped by some Pegasus Knights right before this, so he did not see those people burning right in front of his eyes. This will surely be the last death in this game, right? I kill off the boss with Ingrid, who has become a really good unit. The boss then pleads with his life because he got family at home and he should still be alive for them. But in true Fire Emblem fashion, if you have loved ones, you're going to die. In the next chapter we are meeting up with Rodrigue, Dimitri's uncle, and more importantly Dimitri's father figure, in case you wanted to see some death flags here and there, you know. But sadly enough, the map is so convoluted big and dumb with all the fire lava blocks, and that my units move too slow to save Rodrigue from his too early demise, so I get a game over. Luckily, now that I know that this is happening, I decide to move my units via a different route and get by him much faster. As big as the map is, it is honestly one of the more fun maps to get through, and definitely adds to the challenge that you yourself can get hit by the fire tiles easily, but it also gives me the opportunity to trap the enemies on the fire blocks and let them meet their demise. At least the maps are finally starting to pick up in difficulty. After yet another skirmish map, obviously that's what I'm going to do because I don't want any more of my units to die. They need to be strong. The gang decides to take over the Great Bridge. That is a tactical advantage point for some reason, because it's a bridge. On this bridge, the Jew finally meets up with us again and is ready to not be sacrificed for the greater good. On this map we can finally kill off some more former students that have joined the wrong side of the story. And because we are believers of the church, we also believe in their punishments of death. I crank my sword whip and absolutely slaughter them, aside for that I actually killed Lawrence with Shamir, because well, she could use the XP. Oh, Goldsmith is playing Splatoon 3. That's great. After yet more skirmish maps, we get to a chapter where we are once again on a field where there will be a battle between the three houses and their remaining students. A good moment to get rid of some more pests. How dare you oppose the church? Get whipped, bitch. I start off with taking the central spot of the map because that worked the last time, but I get humiliated by Hubert and his massive plan to fire us to a crisp. And then I get absolutely walloped by Dimitri and his gang. Yeah, so game over for me, but yeah, next round we do lose a few more units because of Petra, who is a dodge tank and dodges absolutely anything and can crit. So yeah, that's great. But we are able to finish off the chapter with minimal casualties. But the map is not done, as we get hit by a budget cut in the animation and see Rodrigue die in what we can only call an emotional roller coaster that we definitely didn't see coming because we never got to use Rodrigue as a unit. I'm sure they didn't want to animate this cutscene because they used a random NPC for this. His death is prolonged by a flashback about how he promised to set Dimitri on the right path if he ever became a stray dog. Good job on that one. While I might have accidentally killed off Flane, I am definitely not in the clear for the wrath of her brother Sedef, who will definitely have something to say about our horrible leadership. Oh, never mind, I guess it was all okay then. You know, I also lost a net in battle. It really be one of those days where you just lose everything, you know. It would really be sad if I accidentally killed off some more characters, but I'm sure accidents will keep on happening because accidents are not that easily avoidable. But surely it will all be accidents. In the next chapter we have to take back the capital so Dimitri can rise as their true ruler again. This map is once again very big with lots of big enemies that funnily enough have this tiny sword as their weapon. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Swing it around and misses entirely? Oh. Well, she wasn't supposed to die yet until the final battle, but I guess accidents do happen. But luckily I can avoid more accidents by killing off Cornelia, the boss of this map, with Ingrid, a flying unit. I'm gonna say it, flying units are absolutely phenomenal cheat machines. Because a lot of the maps require you to beat the boss, making it very easy to just fly over there and kill the boss easily. I avoided most of those big guys because of that tactic. I honestly think that is the biggest problem with these maps in this game. You always skip like more than half of the map and enemies just because you can easily kill the boss. Well, sometimes that also requires some luck. The next story map could be seen as a filler map, as we have to save the remaining survivors of the Golden Deer House. All of them are very overpowered and kill off like half of the enemies. We literally only have to make our way to the boss and kill him off once again, which isn't too difficult, but I did not really want to take any risks. This map is definitely weaker compared to the other maps, simply because there is not much you have to do, no real strategies that you have to use, and just butting your head against the wall until you kill off a bunch of the enemies. That's it. Sadly enough, none of the Golden Deer people join us after we rescue them. The audacity! I really could use a few more sacrificial lambs up until this point, you know? In the next story map we have to make our way through the impregnable fortress, which funnily enough we just bust through the door. Yeah, the name mainly comes from that it's such a difficult castle to traverse through because it has so many fucking stairs. Of course this map doesn't come without its sacrifices. The Jew gets hit by an unlucky attack, and I left him there to die. Cause he wasn't that good, okay? He was bad. Furthermore, Setif joins his sister 6 feet under, and now I have 7 units left to my name, including myself. Great, I'm such a good tactician. The rest of the map would be trivial if it wasn't for those giant beasts that deal massive amount of damage. I'm surprised I actually got through this pretty decently. It's as if I am actually really good at using tactics and leaving my party members alive, and I just kill off units just for the fun of it. Who would do that, right? Not me. Either way, after killing them, it was time for the Death Knight to die, who by the way has existed throughout the story but had so little impact on it that I actually forgot about him. He's just being used as like a scare factor but nothing more. He does succumb to my wonderful tactics, and that puts an end to the impregnable fortress that just, you know, had too many stairs and that was it. In this chapter it is time to prepare ourselves for the final confrontation with Edelgard and her retainers. But we first get a little meet and greet with her because, well, Dimitri and Edelgard used to be friends, and so Dimitri gives Edelgard back her knife so she can cut a path forward to be victorious in whatever she does. He has been holding on to that knife for more than 5 years, by the way. Surely there must be a reason for that. No, there is not. It's just kind of showing us that this scene is sentimental and that it could have been different between these two, but it isn't. So we have to kill her. But first we have to make our way through once again a really big map that we have seen before in a skirmish map. So at that point I already kind of know how to get through it. While the Empire does deploy very strong looking birds, our boy Dimitri just one-shots them each and every single time. So that's great. Petra is here as well, but she also gets one shot by Dimitri because at this point he's a machine that cannot be stopped by anyone. We kill off Hubert and ready to storm the castle to finally kill off Edelgard. But first she has to transform into a monster herself because she cannot stand losing to a guy who doesn't know what a hairdresser is. The final map is humongous and it really seems like this truly will be the most difficult final battle yet. Edelgard also has the range of a sniper by being able to cover almost the whole map, so this truly is going to be the greatest battle of all time. I decide to move all my units to the left and make my way to Edelgard, because I think it looks like the easiest place where it's also possible to hold multiple choke points. And while I do that, Gilbert gets shot, Ash gets obliterated, and the guy who I don't know the name of and somehow survived till the last map gets used as a sacrifice. This puts us in the dire situation of only having 4 units left on the map. Oh, how horrible! Funnily enough, those are the only 4 units I actually invested in. So I guess I made it happen. I lure Edelgard with Ingrid to use up all of her immense range attacks, as Ingrid just simply dodges all of them since she has the speed of a demon. These are honestly the only 4 units I ever needed to get through this game, let's be honest. Mercedes as a mage and healer, Byleth and Dimitri as killing machines, and Ingrid as a dodge tank. That's also how I was easily able to kill off every enemy that approached us on the map, and how I actually easily bet up Edelgard. She could do nothing against the Dream Team. After beating up Edelgard, we see a cutscene of Edelgard on her knees and Dimitri reaching out his hand to help her, but as she is shocked by the gesture, she cannot help but give Dimitri his gift bag because she really isn't a knife girl, but a flower kinda girl, but she never had the courage to tell him all that. Dimitri is so enraged by this betrayal that he stabs her with his lance, and thus Dimitri and Byleth come out to greet the remainder of our units and the people who want to see their liberator. We then get to marry Ingrid because she is one of the few survivors and I somehow was able to get an S rank support with her. How great! Everything really ended well, besides for all the other units I had, you know. They're kinda grayed out. It's kind of a little sad and depressing if you look at it like that. Well, maybe next time I'll try to keep everybody alive. But that's no guarantee, you know that. Either way, that was my playthrough of Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't think this video was too long, but in short I think this game is pretty good in gaming standards, but in Fire Emblem standards I feel like it is truly lacking in soul, especially in the map and gameplay part. I do want to play the other routes as well and also want to make videos on those, but that will have to wait after I cover Fortune's Weave fully, probably. I'm not entirely sure what I will do with that game. I truly hope you all enjoyed this video, because I did too, and I hope to see you all later in another video. Subscribe and like. See ya.